Let's begin. Here we go. We're live. Welcome back, everybody. We're here with legendary strength coach Dan John for our weekly fitness chat and live Q&A with all of you fine people. Dan, you just have a glow this morning.
Well, thank you.
How's your training been? It must be stupendous, right?
Yeah, things are going well. As soon as I hang up today from you, I'll be calling an Uber, and I'm going off to North Carolina. I'm going to do Tim Anderson's original strength.
Oh, seeing our buddy Tim again. That's awesome. It's always cool when you guys team up. Yeah, please tell him hello.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I'll be seeing Elowen, my granddaughter, for the first time. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Oh, that's right. So because you have family in that state now.
My daughter, yeah. And then, So training-wise, and thank you for asking, and I'm going to follow up with how are you doing in just a moment. But I picked up an idea from Brad Pillen. He's the guy who does Eat, Stop, Eat, kind of one of the real...
one of the OGs.
Intermittent fasting guys. Though, I always love it when they always get on each other about who invented it. It's like, dude, it's
who invented fasting? People who probably didn't want to.
Hi, I'm Oog, and I haven't eaten in a few days.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, what do you call that? I call it fasting. No. But he has a book called Progressions, and I really struggle. I don't struggle, but I mean, this isn't a life or death struggle. I struggle, ladies and gentlemen, but I struggle. With my press and front squat, I'm always kind of, I don't know. So he has this idea where he has this little progressions, and there you look at a load, and then you take these lighter lifts and. For example, I'm doing reps of I think the other day was 11, 13 with different weights, 11, 13, and 9. It was like, oh, that feels kind of, of course, for me to do high rep, 13 front squats is just eye-opening. I mean, it's just because I'm usually front squat for me is 1, 2, 3, back in the rack. 1, 2, 3, back in the rack. So when I get to 13, my mind goes down this, I start writing the Lord of the Rings.
It's existential for sure. Yeah.
All of a sudden, I've got 1,000 characters in my novel. It's like, holy cow, rep number 6. It's like, oh, I'm going to a place no one's ever been before.
And there's no better cardio than heavy high rep front squats.
I don't think so. But, it's interesting because yesterday I did my military and my front squat before my snatches and clean and jerks. And I tell you, by the time I came to my clean and jerks, I was moving, grooving. But things are good.
Nice.
My inner circle, the meeting was last week. Tomorrow's the second time. Happy. Things are good. How about you, Patrick? Babies, children?
Life? Yeah. Good. I mean, very busy, but good. Thank you for asking. By the way, gentle listeners, put your questions in. We'll get to those in a minute. What's up? So, I mean, Christine's due soon. Her due date is like next week-ish. So, she always runs a little bit late. So we're probably thinking late October. We'll be expecting what's this one? Is it Little Danny? Is that what we were thinking of? Right?
Daniel Arthur Flynn sounds like a champion to me.
Yeah. So
if you name him Daniel Arthur and his confirmation name is John, I can't help but think this child has a future. Okay.
Everything he could possibly need. So yeah, we're pumped about that. We feel good, ready. Christine, I mean, she's ready. She's ready. She's ready. For sure. Training's good. Elbows are feeling better. Been doing a lot of the rehab and soft tissue work. So feeling optimistic about the old golfer's elbow, which is just it's those little. It's like, man, if I had it, why can't it be a cool injury? Like I got in a fight with a shark or something. If you're going to have something that's oddly debilitating, you want a cool story to go along with it. So this one isn't just, a lot of wear and tear and is caught up but we're doing good. So yeah, actually feeling really good. So the different things I've been throwing at it have been effective, which is promising. Yeah.
There's a fitness guru, and this is one of the few times I'll use the word because it's appropriately inappropriate, who has taken me for task for a few years on certain forums about this thing we call middle-aged pull-up syndrome. And then he gets it. And all of a sudden it's like, all of a sudden the music in the background changed,
Yeah, but what adults? Let me rant a little bit. I guess I'm in the mood today.
Yeah.
Man, like I have never, as a general rule, I have never like discounted somebody's wisdom because they had injuries, right? I mean, life is just one long injury. that's like if you're living life, like look, man, like it's the people who are banged up that lived, right? These were the guys that competed. These are the guys like the best coaches I ever had, the martial artists. Like these were people who were, rode hard, put away wet, right? And they learned from those experiences. And like the person who's just absolutely pristine, like that's the one I'm skeptical of. Like, what have you done with your life? You know what I mean? Of course, you could be an idiot about things, and a lot of times people learn those lessons the hard way. I've certainly learned those lessons the hard way, but I try to convey that to other people. Yeah, when I was 20, I did these stupid one-arm chin-up things that went really well, and now I kind of pay a price for it. I don't recommend that anymore, right? But I was doing stuff, right? So yeah, there's just there is that weird thing and kind of in the background where I don't know, there's a sort of skepticism that people want to throw on people
Right.
that are banged up, but to me it seems the opposite should be the case, right?
You're choir preaching. Yeah, two quick things came to my head when you said that, and I appreciate it. Before the National Football League expanded to 17 games, there's a statistic, and it's weird. I think the chances of getting injured in the NFL and missing a game because of injuries is 136 or something like that, 130%. So what that means is every single player on your roster is going to get injured at least once, so they miss a game. Most will miss multiple games. And my cousin, he was a great NFL player, and I was talking to my other cousin Joey the other day, and he said, "Yeah, I talked to Keith, and I said, do you have any regrets?" And he used a very common adjective, but the answer was adjective no. I would do it all again for the same reason to play in the NFL. If you're going to play in the NFL, folks, it is going to have an impact on your longevity and your health. There. If you're going to be an elite strength athlete, you're going to have joint issues because
physics, it's just the cost of doing business. That's it. Yeah.
Physics and biomechanics sometimes come to a juncture where physics wins. Mm-hmm. And so I'm so glad you said that. And in the leanness field, I guess by law, you always have to have the best body in the gym to be a fitness or leanness expert. But frankly, the best people I think in the field aren't. And one of my good friends, she just finished a bodybuilding contest, and already you can hear her like, hey, you can't live like this. These pictures are great, but this is not a way.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
you can't live doing this. And what most fitness people do, the leanness people do, is you do a contest, you take 1,000 pictures, and you just keep recycling those pictures.
Yeah, put them on the rotation.
What I don't like is, I can't do that because my athletic career, color hadn't been invented yet. It was just all black and white.
There you go, right?
And so I can't use those photos. People will see through it. That is, by the way, for those you do like Calvin and Hobbes, his father was so great. There's that classic one where he's telling Calvin that, oh, yeah, there was no color until just a few years ago. Everything was just black and white. And the pictures are actually in color. And then you can hear the mom from the kitchen saying, stop, it's like, stop that or something like that.
Yeah, this is really important. Obviously, again, there's a balance here. I don't see life as a risk elimination game. It's just a risk, mitigation game. All right. And you just understand, like, okay, I want to go hard. I want to go for big things. And those big things have costs. And your goal is just to have a clarity of perspective to understand what those costs are and how you mitigate and how you balance risk and reward. And that's it. And some things have higher costs. So like the more you get to the elite, which in athletics I've never been, right? But the more you get to it, it's just obvious that the costs are just a lot higher, right? But if you're just somebody who's like, okay, I don't even care about, I was talking with a friend about this weekend. He's like, I don't care about even really gaining muscle that much strength. I just want to kind of like stay healthy and move. I don't lift that heavy. And like, I was like, dude, that's cool, man. Like, and like the cost of that in terms of like the inherent risk is relatively lower, but he also has the right expectations that like what he's doing exercise wise isn't going to like, you know, lead to huge leaps in strength and muscle. He has the right expectations, right? So it's just a conversation that people, because I guess it's nuanced, they're just unwilling to have. But yeah, when I look to learn from people, they're the best coaches I had. They're pretty banged up, right? But they're also the wisest. And some lessons they learned through hard experience. They didn't expect things to happen, and they did. Okay, that's a lesson learned. They pass it on. Other things they did know this was a cost, and they were willing to pay that cost. And then if you ask them, they'll say, I would have paid it again, right?
Well, every Thursday night I go to the senior center. We have a social at the senior center, and one of my friends, she was a rodeo rider, and she's in her 80s, and her back is in terrible shape, and she's in pain a lot. But she started doing that when she was what, 3 or 4, and she kept doing it until she couldn't. And again, like you just said, it defines who she is. My friend Merrill, 88 fighter missions over North Vietnam. He's seen. There are times where he'll just kind of catch himself, and he struggles with some of the issues. But to be able to say 88 missions, you do it. I mean, when you talk to people in any field, there are sacrifices. And let's be honest. I mean, you have your wife is pregnant, and having babies is very hard on women. It's very hard on women. And yet we still seem to keep, we still seem to keep doing.
Yeah, right.
We do that whole thing where we raise them to fully functioning adults, I don't know of anything in life that has a huge upside that doesn't also have a huge downside.
Yep. Amen to all that. I would say amen. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Great. And look, yeah, if pull-ups are causing your elbows to scream, take a break, figure it out. No big deal, right? That's what we're doing over here. So, and all being said, my complaints are pretty minimal in the grand scheme. So, and we're getting at them early enough that hopefully it won't be too much of an issue long term, but we shall see. Let's take some questions now. All right, Jimmy Jam says, how do you like to cycle a program like the Armor Building Complex in young athletes versus old athletes? Dan, do you have a difference in how you might program something like this for the younger versus the more seasoned?
This is something I've tried to do my whole career, Jimmy Jam, is so what you've done is you've taken so I put these, this first question, one of the first questions I ask is, are you an athlete or not? And so the ABC and the armor building formula certainly could be used by athletes. Let's just say that. But we're about to go in this 1%, less than 1% of the population for the answer here. Okay. So this is not now a general population answer. He asked specifically about athletes. Right. Would the ABC be good for the younger athlete? Yeah, it was. I mean, my first real application was for it. And then it was the kettlebell adults that made it work. So when you're working with the ABC or that kind of thing for a young adult, which would be a good program, I've never. So Jimmy Jam, I've never used this for a program for young adults. Okay, I just haven't. So we're talking about teenagers. I just haven't because I don't work with anybody under 18 at all anymore. That's not. It's just occasionally, but I think doing the ABC for, you said 8 to 12 weeks. I would see doing the armor building formula with the high rep presses and the ABC complex might be good. Probably you would tap out at about 4 weeks with the high school athlete, the teenage athlete, just because that's what happens. Now, if you're talking about an adult, I think in the way off season that armor building formula. So let's say you're okay. Well, let's just say today, what month is this? October. if your season ends in October, you play a sport that's a real deep summer sport. You just finished. It would probably be a good thing to do November, December-ish, January. Okay. Just, it is, you do ask the body to do certain things, but it is friendly to the body. So that would be the thing I'd say. Probably shorter for the, the 19 and under athlete, probably up to 2 or 3 months for the athlete who's older in the deep off season. Now, having said that, asterisk, most professional athletes, they barely even have an off season anymore. So that's okay.
Great. All right, here we go. Moving along here. Thanks for the great stuff, everyone. Keep it coming. Joe Gramillion says, "What do you guys think about?"
Hey, Joe's over on the Dan John University side. Hey, Joe.
Wow, welcome here, Joe.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hey. Go ahead.
He wants our thought on Lou raises as an effective shoulder exercise. Are we familiar with the Lou raise here? It's a type of lateral raise.
I don't know. My joke was going to be I liked her early work when she was in jazz bands, but her later. No, I don't. Joe, I don't know what a Lou raise is. Okay, I'm sorry. Just retype it or explain it, and I'll happily answer. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I am generally a big fan of just get the shoulders, the YTWLs, all that stuff. I do it daily. And they do keep my shoulders very happy, strong, healthy. So if the Lou raise is what I'm thinking about, it's probably something that I do like, but we'll wait for further clarification. Why can't people just name exercises like you do, and will you just never forget what the exercise, the Bulgarian goat bag?
In my personal experience, when I used to do the lateral raise families, the kind of whatever.
It's a lateral raise with plates.
Oh well, yeah. My thing, and it's because I'm a discus thrower. When I let that lever arm go way out there, I often get this chunk in my shoulders because of all the, laxity of the joints or whatever from throwing. So I don't like it. I hate the sound it makes. But I think an exercise like that would have it would make sense to me for a lot of you to do it. Just remember this, folks. There's all kinds of exercises, but there was this one they were doing in the kettlebell world for a while. It was a lateral snatch. Okay.
Oh, I remember that goofy little.
And I did one, and I was like, "This is a train wreck for me. I might as well just literally just to get a beating. Like if any of you watching Slow Horses season 3, the beating that the guy gets in at the park. I mean, it's a beating. But then I'll say lateral raises, and Mike Warren Brown, who trains with me, will say it is the greatest exercise I ever did, and I'm shocked that we don't do it every day. We hang out together all the time. I mean, I'm just an example here. I don't know if he said that, but that's why you really do need to do an experiment. Training in the weight room is a bit of a long-term personal scientific study. There are exercises that are the best thing you ever did, and Pat does it, and it's the worst thing he ever did. Just having a conversation with my Green Beret buddies the other day, and we're talking about rope climbing versus pull-ups, and he said it makes no sense why they insist on pull-ups, because rope climbing is what they need to do. Mm-hmm. And we're just having this great conversation. He thinks that rope climbing is far better, and I thought, okay. And then I remembered rope climbing, and I thought to myself, rope climbing is great. I don't do it because it's really hard. Yeah, and any exercise that's hard, by definition, I try to avoid it.
If anyone heard a loud thud, I think a bird just smacked into my window there. Heaven, yes. This happens from time to time. We have pretty big windows at the house. Every once in a while, just
yeah. Oh, I always feel bad for him.
Yeah, I know. All right, well, let's move on. All right, here we go. Lots of good comments here. Trying to grab some questions. Scrolling. Here we go. Andrew says, "Hi, Dan. In your HKC challenge kettlebell workout at the end of the book, some days you have practice, the press, or GS.
Goblet squat. Yeah.
Goblet squat. I was thinking gear your voice sport. I'm like, that can't be
Ah,
right. Yeah. What would this look like? Thank you in advance for your help. Okay.
sure. And who is that? Andrew?
Good
Andrew?
old Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew. Really? Okay. So, sometimes I'll say in a workout, do hinge and squat variations as part of the warm up. So if you ever do take a certification with me, I'm going to give you like a whole bunch of these just remedial, well, I shouldn't call them regressions from like the swing, regressions from the back squat. Okay. Let's just say back squat and big squats, front squat, back squat. Then a regression would be the goblet squat. A practice with a goblet squat might be to sit down in the deep and at the bottom and do curls. It might be grab a suspension trainer and sit in the bottom position, holding the suspension trainer like water skiing. It's any kind of practice. So with the press, it could just be you use both hands to pick up a heavy load, and maybe you take your hand here and practice because you're missing the groove somehow. Maybe practice in that hard position. Maybe you just take some weights, and so let's just say it this way, kind of a playful few minutes of going through the movement, working on the issues or the weaknesses that you might have. It's informal. It's just to build that platform later on for a more traditional. I want you to do 3 sets of 8 or something like that. Okay.
Right.
So it is interesting that the word practice would lose you, Andrew. And I'm not being mean, but it is we don't do that in gyms as much as when I was young. When I was young, people would a part of their workout might be learning a lift. Like Patrick comes in here today with me, and the two of us are. I read a thing about the Jefferson lift, so the two of us would play around for 15, 20 minutes trying to figure out how to do the Jefferson lift. Okay, which is one of the straddle squat variations, straddle deadlift variations. Don't worry about it. But the thing is, we would just play around with it, come in 2 days later and find all these really weird places we're sore, and then say, okay, we're going to do that some more, or we'll never do that again. And then you read a magazine and there's new exercise and you try it. It's play, it's practice, it's unscheduled, it's open. And I think it's really important you add some of that in your training. Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. Great. All right. Yeah. The idea of just play and practice again makes sense to me because, with sort of music being the other side of something I work hard at, those are essential, right? I mean, you do have like your structured sessions, work this for the metronome for amount of time, but sometimes you just are just playing around, figuring out a new technique. You're just practicing, or other times you're putting on just a backing track and you're playing, you're improvising. So you have all that, in the world of music, at least you should. And that totally makes sense to me that there be places for, practice and play alongside the very regimented, here's your sets, here's your reps in the fitness world too. That all sort of this holistic way of developing oneself. Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it is a bit of a lost thing, folks. So don't be afraid if you train for an hour, don't be afraid to throw in a 10-minute period every 15 minutes where you saw this exercise in a strength and health magazine, you saw, and just play around with it. And one of the things you'll find is very often a lot of exercises, they look groovy, but you'll just go, God, that's just a waste of my time and space. Mark, by the way, asked a question there. If Chaucer watched action movies, what would be his favorite? That's actually interesting because it would have to be there'd have to be a lot of characters in it, right? And okay, here's one. He'd love that Apple TV show, Slow Horses, I think, just because I watched it last night. Sadly, he might like the Marvel films because
sadly,
but they would have to involve flatulence and adultery for him to really enjoy.
to really enjoy it.
So one of the greatest questions we've ever had on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you. You win. All right, let me scroll back up here. All right, iChef likes your Butt Blaster 5000 for a workout name. Unforgettable. Yes.
That is, yeah. So for those you don't know it, it's Bulgarian goat bag swings, which is that just it's a loaded hinge, not a swing. You hold the weight. I've discovered that holding the weight about here, holding the weight here, here, is what you want. So you do 10 hinges, 10 goblet squats, 9 hinges, 9 goblet squats, 8, 8, 7, 7. And because you're not doing swings, you really can pick up some sore glutes. It is real if done correctly. that caveat, done correctly, it is because there's no place to rest, and your glutes are getting hit at these two different ways: the hinge and then the squat. So yeah, it's a good workout. Thank you.
What's your favorite workout name that you've ever come up with, Dan?
The butt blaster 5,000 is not bad. How about you? You go first, and I'll
poetry. I guess a fan favorite is. I've been meaning to ask you. You asked me for those workouts that I sent you.
Yeah,
a couple weeks ago, and
thank you.
The Great Destroyer, but that's not totally. Yeah. So that's a fan. People seem to like that name in that workout.
Yeah. That is actually. It's weird because when I say things like one lift a day in the Southwood workout. If I say we're going to do the one lift a day, my brain just matrix out into this massive 4-week thing, and that's one of the things I like about a workout plan that has a name. Like if I say Mass Made Simple, well, I know, it's, you can be doing a lot of squats. This is a good question. Butt Blaster 5,000 is the best. I can't.
It's number one. Yeah.
I mean, there is the one called Hornies where you do, swings followed by goblet squat followed by horn walks, is where you hold the kettlebell by the horns.
That's good. Yeah, it's a good.
But horny is just a nice name.
Yeah, it is. I like that.
But I like the stupid jokes. Like Murray Institute for Lifelong Fitness is MILF. I mean, I just.
Yeah, you got some straightforward ones that definitely caught a lot of attention. Remember your eagle, right? That was an old that one first did take off on T Nation for a while, right?
Yeah, I mean. So for me, I think when you title something, like when I say 10,000 swing challenge, which not long ago, I think I mentioned this, GoRuck invented it, folks. If you get a chance, go to GoRuck. They invented the 10,000 swing challenge.
Oh, congratulations.
If you have
the audacity,
any level, I'm not going to go there because, I can't, I just can't. But yeah, so I like it when you have in a workout, like I have like Sparrowhawk in a workout is a goblet squat suitcase carry variation. So I can say we're going to do Sparrowhawks. We're going to do Sparrowhawks. Okay, good. Everyone knows it. We're going to do the Eagle. Everyone knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, wow. Oh, by the way, Dan, I gotta mention this. I pulled up the article on GoRuck and I'm searching for your name on the article and doesn't seem to be a single attribution. What's going on here?
Yeah, I know. No, I know.
That's pretty darn flagrant, if I do say so.
And it's funny because you'll go over to Reddit and when John Call came and visited me, somebody said I'm really cocky, and it's like, okay, maybe I'm cocky, but I do, or whatever I am. I'm just a horrible person, I guess. But I tell you one thing, man. Anonymous on the keyboard, you can just about say anything you want, can't you?
Yeah, I mean, I have my stuff like stolen all the time, but usually it's by like obscure people on Instagram. This is like a company, like just straight up just ripping you off on their primary webpage. I mean, that's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Email those people. Email them. Make a thing and
send a mob.
But you know what? They're not going to do anything. They're affiliated with the workout that shall not be named. And
is that what they are?
Yeah, and there's a company that's affiliated with them, and they said proudly made in America, and all their stuff's made in China. But
yeah, I've heard the name. I've never looked into them before, but that's a demerit. Sorry.
Yes,
you guys get a demerit.
Parent teacher meeting. I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I think, naughty. Right after school at 4:00. I think we need to.
Not. Man, it was just like, what's wrong with people? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with just attributing? Like it's good. Like when people acknowledge, hey, I'm learning from other people, and you're read, and it's like. This one's pretty obvious. Like if anyone Googles the 10,000 swing challenge, they're going to very quickly trace it back to you in general. Anyways,
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well,
Unfortunate. That's it's always I get it. Like it happens, it's inevitable, but it's always a bummer when you see somebody just totally steal your stuff, you know? Yep.
but if I could say this, there is a value, and I would recommend this for all of you, you listeners too. Even if you give a name, if you give it a, if you, like bear is a workout where you do bear crawls and bear hug carries.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
But if I just say bear, everybody knows what I'm talking about. Okay. I love Patrick. He's always, yeah. Oh, look at this. He's carrying a book. But if I say bear, okay, we're going to do the standard warm up. We're going to do bear, spar hawk, and the butt blaster 5000. The whole group sort of kind of knows what I'm doing.
Yeah.
If I then say we're doing the one lift a day program or the big 21, they also know that for the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever, we're doing this. So there is value in labeling workouts and the small parts of workouts long term.
Yeah. So
people make fun of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So check this out. Got author copies of my new book finally. Strong on Dan. I'm gonna send you one. So thank you because your endorsement is right there on the book.
Where is it? On the back?
Where is it? Let's see here. Oh yeah, there it is. Right there. Dan John, right in the front cover.
What'd I say?
You said, can I read it here?
Yeah.
It's my favorite endorsement, and I did get several. Pat's book, Strung On, is perhaps, sadly, the book we all wanted in 2004. The clarity Pat shares of buying, using, learning, and coaching and sweating fulfills our expectations of the magic promised by the kettlebell and the kettlebell community 2 decades ago. I'm asking aloud, where was this book back then? And then you continue with many nice words. I won't read it all, but yeah, I guess it took a while to write this. But the reason I want to show this is not just to show off my new book, but look at this. There's a workout in here called armor building, and I do this weird thing by saying this comes from strength coach Dan John. I didn't just appropriate. And you gave me permission. You said as long as I credit you 3 times, then it's mine, right? But I'm still crediting you. I'm still giving you proper attribute. And there's several in here where if I'm taking an idea from somebody, I give them proper credit, right?
Okay, gentle listeners. It's a joke I use in workshops. One thing though, I hope, and I would hope those of you who read my work would agree. I really go out of my way to attribute to the point that already today I talked about my cousin Joe, my cousin Keith, I just boom. But the joke I use in workshops, when I do a workshop, I'll say, I learned pirate maps from my good friend, Pat Flynn. Next workshop, as all of you know, I learned pirate maps from my good friend, Pat Flynn. Third workshop, I say, as I always say, pirate maps are
right. Yeah.
Attribute, as I always say. Fourth time, it's just yours and you run with it. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, thank you for the endorsement. And at some point, I'll do some giveaways. But yeah, I'm excited about it. It comes out December, gentle listeners. So if you want to pre-order it, it's still a ways away, but I got the author copies and it's nice and orange, very orangey. So yeah, I like the colors. All right, let's keep rolling here. Good questions, good conversation as always. Let me scroll back up. Try not to miss any of the really good stuff. Let's go to iChef. He says, I have double kettlebells ranging from 10 to 40 kilogram. Really? My goal is to be able to use double 40 kilograms for cleans, presses, squats, and their variations. I'm on double 32s. Thoughts on how to go up, thoughts on how to progress.
Well, for one thing, if that's your home gym, hats off to you. That's great. Well, you're gonna have to have a kind of a waving approach to it. Okay, I think, and this is just, and I know Mr. Chef Impossible, this is a little bit more complex, but I can't. There is no formula for getting there. There's no template. Just the idea that you are going to have to wave your way up there. Okay, so you're going to have to mix, and you're going to have to mix days of higher reps with the lower weights with, pushing yourself on heavier weights and less rates some other times. I don't know how you respond. It's weird for me in certain lifts, and I'd be interested, Pat, on your feedback on this. I respond to higher reps on certain lifts. So yes. For me in the squat, I never responded perfectly to I never responded perfectly well to just heavy load, going heavier and heavier. Once Coach Nottmeyer added the high rep work for me,
Yeah.
that just opened me up in the squat. In the press, doesn't matter if I high rep or low rep, my press is fine.
Just a press monster, right? Yeah.
Pull up for the pull family for me is more days a week than it is reps or sets in a workout or
Frequency. Yeah.
frequency. So what you're going to need to do is play around and then find where you seem to progress. So I would suggest, something as simple as maybe 5 days in 1 week, you do kind of an easy strength approach. We do all the lifts. Another week, do 3 days and really push the squat. Just keep playing around with variations and concepts. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. I mean, it's definitely true for me too. I have certain lifts where it's okay. Just need to kind of push the volume and the density. Other
Yeah.
ones, a lot of the bodyweight stuff, I'm with you. Like, it seems like frequency is kind of the key variable there. Some lifts that just are just not Pat Flynn's specialty. Let's say that you kind of got to throw everything at it, right? To try and some lifts are just like that, right? You just got to try and throw everything at it to just kind of push forward even just a little bit. And that's the case for sure. For me, that's probably it's probably the press. But yeah, so I always, as a sort of general starting idea, I know we were kind of like going after pull-ups a little bit, but I think you could swap this for other exercises. But for pull-ups, one thing that always really helped me build my pull-up strength up was having one kind of a volume day of still a decent intensity, but you're getting in more volume. One day it's just heavier, lower rep. You're pushing more weight, and then kind of one day, maybe call it a play day or a greasing the groove day, where we're just practicing. Always responded really well to that, and I think you could do something similar. And I know, Dan, you do recommend something similar with snatches too. Have one day where you just, you go lighter, but you get those 100 reps in, no matter what. Have another day where, you go really heavy. You keep the reps very low and you just put that big bell overhead. And then, maybe have a day where you're just using that kind of target snatch test weight to just practice the technique and get comfortable with it. So you're kind of circling around the target in different ways, right? Of where you ultimately want to be, for some example of like the 100 rep snatch test or something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Patrick, you just said something. To get ready for the snatch test, Patrick, you said take that 24 and just practice. I mean, how interesting would that be? Because everybody wants programs. And the truth is, sometimes with something like the Olympic lifts or the snatch test, it'd be nice, like for, on this session one day, all of a sudden you just get up to 32 reps with the right arm with the 24. And it's like, oh, well, you just learned something you didn't know 5 minutes before. But if I say 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, you never have a chance to explore. Maybe you're killing your left side from that motorcycle injury when you were 9, and the right side isn't getting enough work. But if you play, you get those insights. So I like that.
Yeah, man. That's so true. This is an emerging theme in this episode: the importance of just play and practice and experimentation. Because how often in the gym or music are you just kind of just playing with things and then you just kind of have these aha moments and these oh, if I do it that way, right? That way, a guitar. If I just tilt my picking hand angle just a little bit, then that passage becomes easier. Like something that is only found out by just playing around with things a little bit, it's really underappreciated for sure.
The Peter Jackson Beatles thing, the thing I like best about it was they were just kind of, a lot of times they were just kind of hanging out, inventing songs in real time. And I thought that was, they didn't, George Gershwin studied a formula for making music. And I don't remember, I'm out of my range already, but a very formulaic way of writing music. And then you watch the Beatles and they are just kind of, the song Get Back, they weren't sure where Tucson was. And there's that little discussion they have in the show well, can you get that from there? It was just like but because that's what they were doing. Yeah. One quick thing. Hey, Dan Herman, I haven't heard from you in a while. I hope things are going well. Dan, a hell of a guy, and he posts. In fact, Joe, it's kind of nice to see from my little forum on Dan John University. Joe, Nate, and Dan, I think, are the really active people in there. So
Great to see
yeah,
all of you. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys. What
yeah, and it's
an
nice.
awesome crew we got around
And if
these
you guys
parts.
would
Really
use your
do.
real names on your calls, it would be I
Yeah, and just slide the social security number on there somewhere in the
and your password.
I did. Yeah. Right. All right. All right. Here we go. Scrolling back up. Lots of good stuff today. Ria Chona, friend Ria Chona says, "Hey guys, once you feel comfortable with the overhead squat PVC drill, how do you progress to the real deal with the Oli bar?" This is totally you, Dan.
Yeah, so there's two ways to do it. A lot of it depends on your facility, how safe it is. But when I was first learning the overhead squat as the overhead squat, it was just we would snatch the weight and then do so. You put the bar in the ground or throw it overhead and then you snatch. The problem is going from a PVC pipe that weighs nothing to the standard 20 kilo bar. It can be a leap for some people. Frankly, I don't. When I'm working with you in my gym or at your place, I mean, I just dismiss it. We just go right up to it because I'm going to stand behind you and spot. But you can either snatch it or you take it off a rack and you push jerk the weight up, slide your hands to appropriate, and go from there. It is a little bit. It is a little bit. It the load makes a lot of people really tense up and look ugly, and you have to just trust. You just have to trust the system. But that's what I would recommend. And again, and I hear your complaint that going from PVC to 20 kilos, that's a jump. But as soon as you can, start loading weight up, and if you can overhead squat, good things seem to happen. Okay.
Yeah, good. All right, great questions today. Again, everybody really having a lot of fun. Charlton says, could one combine two-handed swings, single-hand kettlebell press, and the deck squat with a kettlebell in the ABC workout? Oh, and the ABC in a single workout. Sorry, I misread that.
Well, sure. I mean, the deck squat. It's a variation that is not. It's one of the genders does not like it, but I won't tell you how I know that. But it was one of those moments where, as a father of teenage daughters, I just wanted to crawl into a hole. But yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, now I would like you to organize that into a workout because if you did the AB, that's a lot of. I mean, it's a lot of work. Some of it's redundant, but yeah, of course you can. That, but I'm thinking of doing the ABC separate from those other three. But you can certainly do anything you want. There. Done.
Yeah, excellent. All right. Let's take a few more here. Common question. Arajit wants to know this, Dan. Is squatting deep harmful in the long run? People preach one should not go beyond parallel. Are kettlebell goblet or rack squats any different from barbell squats? Is it really dangerous going ATG, butt to grass? Yeah, I guess this is one of those persistent
Myths. It's like
ID
deadlift hurt your
myths.
back.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Done correctly, done reasonably. I mean, just maybe it's because I'm a grandfather and a father, but when I see, I mean, I'll come over and I'll see Leo squat down the ground. Now, obviously, you should never compare a baby squat to an adult squat because babies have they are little ones are different. And if you don't know that, you really maybe shouldn't be. Please don't drive a car. But if we can get in the practice of keeping that pliability, the mobility, the flexibility to get into a deep squat position, I suggest holding on to it as long as you can. One
Yeah.
of my things in survive before thrive is to hold a goblet squat. It doesn't matter load or anything for 30 seconds to be able to stand up. So I never know where any of this comes from. I do know this. If I'm a crappy strength coach, I'm going to say deadlifts hurt your back, squats hurt your back, leg extensions hurt your back. Burpees are too hard on the wrists, and there. Front squats are hard on the wrist, and they are. Push-ups are hard on the shoulders because they are. Presses are bad on the elbows because pull-ups are bad on the elbows because now, or I can be a big kid and say, I'm going to coach this correctly. I'm going to load this correctly. I'm going to wave this in appropriately. I'm going to be a big kid and bring things in. If you don't want to be a big kid, and think things through and give yourself some time, like the question with the, I'm going to try to do the workout with the double 40s. If, there's two ways to do it. Walk in the gym the first day, grab the double 40s and do the entire workout, or progress up. And it's going to take a little bit. I don't like the quick answer. I like the progress up one.
Yeah, it's an adult conversation as always. So I'm with you. And yeah, the other thing I like to emphasize again is, consistency of patterns is really important. What we find when it comes to why do people get hurt in certain positions, it's not just that technique is bad, but they tend to deviate from patterns that are habitually trained and strong, right? And the truth is, if you are not habitually getting into these deep squats and you go from like never going there to just being there under intense intense loads, you might be asking for a bit of trouble, right? But clearly, this is something that can be and should be normal, healthy range of motion. So I think it is a very, very worthwhile target to be able to get into those deep squats and to be able to hang out there comfortably and to be able to control through that range of motion with, well, that's what mobility is strength through range of motion control, not just access, but control through range of motion, right? So yeah, with you. And it's really just a matter of prudence. Obviously, you have pre-existing conditions. That's a different conversation you need to take somewhere else. But for most people, most of the time, yeah, get there. Just be smart about how you do it, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have that other standard where you should be able to hang from a bar for 30 seconds. Well, if you can't hang from a bar because your shoulders are wrecked, your upper back is wrecked, your grip, let's not talk about the Olympic lifts yet. Okay, let's get there first. So
yep.
Sometimes folks, you should be able to do a set of monkey bars. You should be able to. I didn't say pull-ups. I said monkey bars. Boom, 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 boom.
Boom, 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 boom.
And if you can't, let's talk about why you can't, and let's work from there. Well, you can't because you weigh 500 pounds. Okay, well maybe you need some body composition changes. If you can't because both your shoulders are broken, let's not go down that other road into something else. Yeah. So
I like that. Yep. Very reasonable as always.
Yeah.
All right. Here's one, Dan, that I think we have to answer up to honestly. Ria Tono wants to know, are you gents doing a workshop soon? It has been a very long time, Dan, since we have done
together.
Together, yeah.
You want us to do something together? Is that what you like?
That's what I'm taking this as.
Yeah. I mean, if someone wants to arrange it, I would. What's fun is I just make fun of Pat the entire time.
It's a great comedy routine.
It just doesn't stop. I mean, would we be Dragon? What was the Dragon?
Well, when I was in Pennsylvania, we always hosted at the Dragon Gym, of course.
Dragon Gym,
that was always great. Now I reside in the wonderful state of Wisconsin, but the possibilities are many, I suppose.
I would say an outdoor in January, outdoors.
Yep.
2 days, 12-hour days. Middle January.
Lots of hazing.
Yeah, I think in beatings, and you'd have to take your kettlebell. You wouldn't have to worry about carrying your kettlebell because it'd be frozen to your hand. So that'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I miss it, Dan. I miss the events we used to do. So I think this is something we should put in the crock pot of ideas and
Love it.
maybe let simmer for a while. And let me tell you, the winters are a little rough here, but the summers are
Gorgeous.
perfect for an outdoor kettlebell type of workshop. So
In,
yeah, guys, we'll get the conversation started. Maybe we could do something. I know a few people around here that might very well be willing to host something like that. So
yeah. I have an RKC coming up in November in Belmont, California, too. And then I'll be doing Zach Henderson's Liftapalooza. And the other person is Ed Cohen, the arguably the greatest bodybuilder ever. And you can argue with me that somebody else is better. And I would always be like, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it'll be fun. And then I'm doing a thing for Major League Baseball. But yeah.
Very cool.
I have turned down a lot of workshops. Can we talk openly, Patrick?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, since post COVID, a lot of these organizations that invite me, and I'm not getting reimbursed from one of them because my flights and my hotels are too much. But they want me to fly from here, Salt Lake City, to Orlando and keep the price around $300. And it's like, this is 2024, not 1824. Okay.
Yeah, right. Or 1994 for that matter.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
So I'm struggling with some of the way some people do workshops because it's gonna be hard to have a $49 2-day workshop nowadays and cover expenses unless I could do a workshop. I've done workshops here in my home and I love it. I love it. But it's easy to cover expenses if it's in my house here.
Yep.
Because I've got that big church coffee pot. I've got my own church tables and church chairs. Folks, I'm telling you from the heart, there's a place named after a river we can buy church tables and church chairs. Those big, big folding chairs and folding tables.
Great. Yeah, they're great.
Probably the best investment I ever made in my life.
Yeah. So no kidding. I need to get some of those for our backyard. Yeah.
Yeah, they're wonderful. People come over, you bring 3 of them out, you have seating for 20. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? Well, it has been something in my mind that I've been wanting to do for a while, Dan, especially since moving to Wisconsin. Obviously, yeah, the whole COVID stuff it really just disrupted and in many ways messed up the fitness industry. So, but maybe we can get it back on track. Leave it to us to fix things, right? All right, we'll revisit that for sure. But we would need like a firm commitment from the audience saying you guys aren't going to be like, well, this isn't in my backyard, so I'm not. That's always the.
Wait, we're getting all these people who'd seriously come here. So what I did before, do you mind if we spitball this?
Yeah.
There's a place right over here. It's about 3 discus throws. I don't know what that is in meters. Sorry, that's a joke. It's right there called the Crystal Inn. And last time I worked with the manager, and you get breakfast there, and then we ordered in lunch, and then we just all met up for dinner if you felt like it. And we do it here. So my backyard is massive. And it is. I have 35 kettlebells, and I had 4 Olympic bars, but I'm down to 3 now because I gave one to a boy who wants to lift.
Nice.
But yeah, and we and then I get that terrible, that church coffee. I love church coffee.
Yeah, just like the burnt Folgers. Yeah, it's great.
Burnt Folgers. Yeah, I love that. And everyone shows up, and we've got it makes 65 cups of coffee, and each one worse than the one before.
That's great.
And then and then I have 3 bathrooms in the house, which is actually better than most of the certs I do.
It is, yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we'll keep talking about it. That could be a really cool thing. Until then, Dan, before we say goodbye, what are you working on this week? I know you're about to hit the road. Maybe you just want to mention that workshop one more time or tease that or anything else. Yeah.
Well, for those of you who don't know, in Wandering Weights this week, I announced the Liftapalooza. But hey, folks, wait. I turned it in, and then Zach sent me. There's a big discount if you use DJU. So I'll put that in. So if you want to be, it'll be in January in a place called Nashville. For those who don't know where Nashville is, if you watched Alabama went to Nashville to play a football game this weekend, and the local team called Vanderbilt beat them, which is, by the way, for the record, and this is why it's important, Patrick, Vanderbilt beating Alabama is like one of those phrases I never thought I would say in my
Sure.
life.
Yeah.
In my life. And so, and it just happened. And Nashville is one of the funnest towns I've ever been. It is the home, it is now the ground central of bachelorette parties. And for those, there's an episode of How I Met Your Mother called The
Actually, I'm
Womb.
pretty sure my sister had her bachelorette party in Nashville. That's
Yeah,
funny.
I was there with her.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, of course. Yeah. You
weren't
yeah, you organized it, right? Yeah.
I swore I would never say that. I would tell anybody. But Lollapalooza is great. And he wants me to do a kettlebell workout day. Holy cow. Good luck to all you. And the next day, Ed Cohen on powerlifting. I mean, come on. And then I got an RKC in California, a place called Belmont. Cool. But honestly, what am I working on? So that I'm turning my workshop for Zach into a book. I'm thinking anybody who bought Armor Building Formula, we'll just send it to you for free. And then I'll make it into a hard copy. So one of the things I want to do with people who buy my books now is send them, maybe once a year, a PDF with, some updated things. That's just an idea I have.
Beautiful.
But it's actually in my inner circle. Is anyone here in my inner circle? Shoot. Okay. Everybody in my inner circle has it. But yeah, things are good. I'm throwing weights over my head. My health is good. We're at that odd time of year where it's time to cut down the mint and
get the beef stew going. Yeah.
Yeah, we're starting to transition here.
It's beef stew season. Mm-hmm.
Of course, we've had the hottest Utah still experimenting record-breaking heat all the way into what is this, October 8th now, is it, or something like that? And of course, the local officials just say it's a coincidence that we continue to have record-breaking heat every year after year after year. But I'm starting to think there's a pattern of all that. But it is time to cut down. Time to take the tomato trees out plants out pretty soon and trim down my butterfly and bee bushes. It breaks my heart a little bit, but I've been lifting great. I'm looking forward to a meet coming up, and we'll talk more.
Sounds great. Yeah. Safe travels, Dan. Thank you, everybody, for the great questions, and we will see you all next week. Fare thee well.